Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to run you through a game between two of the absolute best Western AD carries, C9 Sneaky versus TSM Zven. Most of the time in our laning guides, we focus on teaching you how one guy played exceptionally well in order to win the lane. However, today both AD carries played exceptional and were able to turn the tide multiple times in lane, mostly through strong matchup knowledge and immaculate wave management. Let's jump right into analysis. We have Zven on the Kalista with his solo queue support playing Shen. Then we have Sneaky on the Twitch with his solo queue support playing Lulu. For Zven to win lane, he will want to look for all-ins with his melee engaged support, Shen, not unlike Alistar or Leona. To do this, he would like the wave to be in the middle or pushing towards his turret to execute an all-in. For Sneaky to come out ahead, he would want to harass at level 1 with their range advantage from Lulu, similar to Janna and Soraka, and then keep the wave close to his turret, so that he can farm safely and avoid being all-in'd by the Shen. So Kalista beats Twitch, but Twitch with Lulu can win short trades, because of Lulu being range versus melee. However, it isn't super worth risking harass into a potential taunt and dying in lane 4 when Twitch can just outscale. As the lane starts, Zven doesn't have to leash for his jungler, so he immediately goes and starts pushing. This is amazing for them, since their weakest phase is versus level 1 harass, and they can skip this by getting tempo on the push. Now, there's a whole bunch of things to think about here. Zven wants to start pushing because he wants to lane in the center or towards his tower for lane all-ins with Shen. This wouldn't be very effective at level 1, so by pushing right away, he can get the wave bouncing towards the center by level 3, where they can actually make something happen. Now let's focus on the information gathering from both sides. At the start of the lane, you can always collect a lot of information to make some high percentage assumptions, which will allow you to change your playstyle as needed. In this game, because Sneaky is not in lane right now, that means that he's leashing for his jungler Zac at red. So what does that tell you as the Kalista? Well, Zven is using matchup knowledge to start pushing, but now he also knows that Zac is starting bot side, and Zac isn't a strong level 2 jungler. Therefore, he can assume that Zac will path topside, and he'll be able to make a play happen in the next couple of minutes without interference. Throwing it over to Sneaky's POV real quick, he sees that Zven is in lane right away. Now, he can assume that Zven's jungler, Nidalee, started topside, meaning that she will path to bot and potentially go for a gank as early as level 3. In this case, he did have a ward topside, but he would have known that Nidalee starts top because bot lane arrived on time and GP top would have been MIA. Now both AD carries have a great idea of what their opponents are looking to do simply by information gathering and having a think about what it all means. In your next games, try to analyze the matchup and the opening lane moments to draw your own conclusions. Developing this habit in-game alongside watching our dailies on Skillcapped will, over time, allow you to have a great read on the early game, which is where things tend to snowball in solo queue. Anyway, let's run through Zven simply shoving to get the bounce for around level 3. Shen goes for a level 1 taunt here, which didn't achieve a whole lot. Not a big deal, but a good example of why their all-in pressure doesn't kick in at level 1 too well. Once the wave is shoved, they go to drop a ward. We talk about minimap awareness a lot, and here's another example of its value. They spot that Zac is topside, which saves them from using a ward, and they return to lane. As the wave bounces back towards the center of the lane, Zven begins auto-attacking this melee. You may have some questions about that since his plan is to have the wave in the middle, but it looks like he's pushing. So he's definitely not looking to push the wave, and by being just a minion ahead, it isn't going to push anytime soon. The advantage of being a minion ahead is of course to get a level advantage and also have trade priority with the slightly larger wave. He's effectively very slightly thinning out the wave before they look for their engage. Seems like a small detail, but these are little nuances applied by top players that can score you real pressure. As both AD carries are scoring their last hits, Shen is looking for an opportunity to taunt all in, with the wave in the center of the lane. At 2:45, the taunt hits. Let's take a look. That was super close. Let's jump back and break it down. Shen hits the taunt and Zven has spears on this minion that's about to die. He hits 2 autos onto Lulu and then rends, which is correct as the minion will reset his rend. He continues autoing with Shen igniting. Zven goes for the second rend to secure the kill as they exchange flashes. However, Sneaky healed at the exact moment that Zven rendered, so Zven autoed Sneaky thinking that rend would secure the kill, and Lulu actually ends up surviving. Now it's Sneaky's turn to punish. Kalista and Zven are super pushed up, and he lands a ton of fire onto Zven as he retreats. You may be wondering, why isn't Sneaky targeting the Shen, who's the lower health target? The reason for that is because Shen has flash and Kalista doesn't, so he will get much more value from chunking Zven's HP, which will give him lane priority, rather than forcing Shen flash. Now it's at this point that Sneaky has claimed lane priority with his giant health lead, and he can decide how the next phase of the lane will play out. If you were Sneaky playing this Twitch, what would your next move be? Remembering back to his game plan, he wants the wave to be closer to his turret so that Shen cannot land those all-in taunts. The wave is already pushing towards him, so his next goal is to not allow Zven to shove the wave for a reset. Sneaky can go for a freeze with his health lead to safely farm and scale. Let's take a look. As we can see, Sneaky shifted gears into allowing the larger enemy wave to push towards him. He's getting aggressive and contesting Zven's ability to shove, setting him up for an imminent freeze. So far, both of these players have been playing the matchup extremely well. Sneaky has now secured a successful freeze with these 4 casters, and can lane much more safely in these early levels versus the engaged support. With his lane where he wants it to be, and maintaining his freeze, what else do you think that Sneaky should be thinking about at this very moment? We threw this question in because this is where many players would lose their footing on tracking the enemy jungler. The information Sneaky got at the start of the lane was that Zven did not leash. Therefore, around the 3-minute 30 mark, he should definitely assume that Nidalee would be pathing bot side, and could go for a gank. Sneaky is fully expecting the gank to hit at any moment, but is feeling pretty safe because of the perfectly timed freeze that he's acquired. Backing it up, there isn't too much to highlight here besides great play from the pro players, and perhaps questionable play from the solo queue players. Sneaky sees Nidalee and directly moves back. Vincent on the Shen fails his flash taunt. Now this is what's cool about how well these guys understand the matchup. The moment Shen fails his taunt, they should immediately shove the wave and get a clean reset. However, Shen overstays, and Nidalee is auto-attacking the Twitch. Zven on the other hand immediately begins claiming value from the failed gank to try and break the freeze, in order to get the lane back into a good spot. However, because Shen and Nidalee did not assist in breaking the freeze, Sneaky was able to maintain it for now, but it will slow push back out eventually. Swapping back to Zven's point of view, it's difficult to know what he should do next, since he's in a fairly awkward spot. His 2 main options are he could either stay in lane to wait for the wave to slow push towards him, or recall. He decides to stay in lane and let it slow push. This is purely founded on them still having that all-in potential because they're not behind in lane anymore thanks to Nidalee helping out. They once again have all-in pressure once the wave gets to the center. Zven drops a key ward in this brush to deny Lulu any chance to harass out of vision. They then wait patiently for the lane to push back out. Let's speed it up. After only going for last hits from afar, the lane is finally pushing back towards the middle. Nidalee spots this and passes directly bot, since it's likely that Zac will help out, as bot lane is in a very volatile state, with low summoners. And there we have it. Zven's ward paid off from earlier, punishing Lulu's forward position, and they finally score the kill. This would have worked without Nidalee's assistance, since Shen had Ignite backup and Lulu had no flash this time. Both of these players have shown true mastery in both matchup knowledge and wave control. Zven and Sneaky played pretty much flawlessly, and the scales were tipped by their support's lack of matchup knowledge. Let's get you today's takeaways. Zven came into this matchup knowing that he should keep the wave in the middle or towards his turret for his Shen all-ins. Sneaky wanted to outscale and keep the wave near his turret. Zven didn't have to leash, so he could get a shove going for a bounce by level 3. Sneaky did have to leash, but got information where Nidalee would be headed because Zven was immediately in lane and he had a ward. When Zven went for the all-in with the wave in the middle, he got caught off guard by a perfectly timed heal from Sneaky. Sneaky used this failed all-in to pressure the flashless Kalista on her retreat. With that lane priority, Sneaky set up a perfectly timed freeze where he can farm safely. Once the gank arrived, it didn't work out, and while Zven did manage to push, it wasn't fast enough and he was forced to wait for Sneaky to slow push out. With a little patience and a game plan, Zven finally got the kill that he was looking for and ended up shoving for a great back timing. That brings us to the end of this video. Have any questions that you want answered? Join the discussion below. Thanks for watching.